Hello everybody and welcome to my channel. Before we get into the video, I want to give a little bit of an introduction as to who I am and what this channel is going to be. So my name is Dominique. I am 26 years old and I just bought my first house. So I want to document the process of moving in, decorating, all of that stuff. So I thought I would make a channel about it. So if you are interested in that kind of stuff, make sure to just subscribe to the channel because there's going to be a lot of moving content and decorating and stuff like that with a few other videos thrown in here and there. And without further ado, let's get into the video. So before I start the story of how I bought a house online, I'm going to give you a little background information. So I lived with my parents up until college, and then I moved about an hour and a half away to my college town, and I lived in a dorm all 4 years. So I did lived in my college town during school, back in my hometown at home, or during the summer for 4 years. And then after my senior year of college, I moved back home for about 2 months because I had a summer job in my hometown. And then I moved back up to my college town full time to complete my master's degree. So when I was in my college town, I lived there full time. So I lived there for about 2.5 years. And then when I finished my master's, I moved back to my hometown. And for a little while, I lived with my parents until I got a steady job and had steady income I could save for what I thought was going to be an apartment. So I began looking for apartments, and the price for apartments in my area is very similar to what I would pay in a mortgage. So now I have a dog, and he's a pretty big dog, so I would have to pay the dog fees and whatever. And it was also hard to find an apartment that took a bigger dog. So I was looking for apartments, and for a 1-bedroom apartment with a dog, it would be equivalent to what I paid a mortgage. So once I told that information to my parents, and my mom's friend's a realtor, so they were all like, you should start looking for houses. So I finally started looking for a house, and this also happened to be at the beginning of the quarantine for the pandemic. So the entire process was online. Every house I looked at was online. I never went into a house. I never got to see the houses in person. I did all of this online. The way it worked was you would look at the house, and then you would put in a purchase offer without seeing it at all. And then if your offer was accepted, you could go see the house, and then if you didn't like the house, you could back out of the offer. So I put in a bunch of purchase offers to probably about 5-6 houses, maybe more, before or without seeing any of them. All of this was online, looking at pictures. And then I finally I put in the purchase offer to this house, the one I'm in now, and it was finally accepted. And the way it worked, like I was saying, is 2 days after the purchase offer was accepted, I was able to come into the house. Now, I was only able to, my realtor was here, but she wasn't allowed in the house with me because of the pandemic and social distancing and all of that stuff. So she was here, and she unlocked the house for me, and it was my realtor, the seller's realtor, and then my parents came with me. But we were only allowed in the house one at a time. And we had to wear masks, we had to wear gloves, we couldn't touch anything in the house, we just got to look around. So the way it worked was my seller's realtor, or the seller's realtor, would come in. He walked through the house, and then he came out, and then my realtor went in, walked through the house, and then came out just to see what the house looked like before we went in. And then one at a time, myself, my mom, and my dad were able to go into the house and look around to see if we actually liked it. And when we were in the house, we had to put on hand sanitizer before we came in the house, and then we had to put gloves on and masks the entire time we were in the house. And once we looked around the house, and then we came out, and my realtor went back in to look over to make sure we didn't damage the house or anything. And then the seller's realtor also did that. And then if I decided that I liked the house, I was able to put a deposit down on it right then and there. So we walked through the house, and I decided that I really liked this house, even though I only saw the pictures online. And then the walkthrough, I liked it. So we put down the down payment, or not the down payment, the deposit. So once we gave the seller's agent our deposit, the house was like ours, but we still had to wait for the inspection, the bank to inspect it, and all of that. Also, sorry if you hear heavy breathing. My dog is right here, and he was just running around the house barking because I got a package delivered. But anyways, so usually when you buy a house, when you get an inspection, you're allowed to be in the house with the person who's doing the inspection. But since it's COVID, we weren't allowed in the house. So just the inspector could come. And then he sent my realtor a report, and then my realtor sent me the report. And the same happened with the bank, and everything was one-on-one. Like, it was one person in the house at a time, which kind of extended the process. So I put in my purchase offer in the beginning of May. I didn't close on my house until the middle end of July. So once all the stuff, like the bank inspected it, the regular inspector came through, all of that happened, we had to do all of the other stuff to like get the bank to approve the mortgage. And when it came to closing date, we were able to have another walkthrough, like the final walkthrough before closing on the house, to make sure there were no damages or anything. And since this had been a couple months and the pandemic had gotten a little bit better in my state, my realtor was able to do the final walkthrough with me. But she was not allowed to be at the closing date with me, which she said was very weird because she's always at the closings. So we did the final walkthrough, and then after the walkthrough, we went to the bank attorney's office, like the lawyer's office, to sign the closing papers. And the only people that were there were my parents, me, and my lawyer. And we all had to sit, there was like a huge long table, and we all had to sit 6 feet, well, from the lawyer. I was able to sit with my parents because I lived with them. But we had to sit 6 feet apart from them, from the lawyer, to do the closing. And the seller's lawyer wasn't there. The bank attorney wasn't there. It was just my lawyer. So once the closing all went down and everything, we had to come back to the house to meet my realtor to get the keys to the house. So then it was officially mine, and I'm partially moved in now. If you could see behind me, it's still a mess of boxes, or behind the camera, it's still a mess of boxes. But yeah, that's the story of how I bought a house online during a pandemic. So thank you so much for watching, and I would really like it if you subscribe down below. There's a lot of moving content coming up, and make sure to leave the video a thumbs up and a comment down below, and I will see you guys next time. Bye guys.